That was ostrich.
You ready? You're the president.
Call this regular meeting of the Mexico City Council to order.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman West,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
First item on the agenda, approval of minutes, February 13th, 2017, regular session.
Move for approval?
Second.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman West,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
First item under resolutions, bill number 2017-13, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Brick City Bad Boys for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. Reading and passage. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, the Tourism Commission received a request for funding, and to cover the funding request and recommendation, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
Good evening, Council. The Mexico Tourism Commission met on Thursday, February 16th, and reviewed the application as presented by the Brick City Bad Boys for their 2017 Brick City Bad Boys Cruise Nights. The request was in the amount of $4,000, and the Commission is recommending funding in the amount of $2,500. The past 2 years, they have received funding in the amount of $3,100 for 5 events. This year, they're cutting back to 4 events. So the commission just took that amount, divided by 5, and multiplied times 4 to come up with the $2,500. They would actually come to $2,480, but they know that there's a little bit of upfront cost in getting the first print set. So that's how they did come up with the $2,500 value. They also took in consideration that in 2015, they were approved for $3,100 and spent roughly $2,000. And in 2016, they were approved for $3,100 and spent approximately $3,000. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I have a question, but not necessarily about this event, but I seem to remember when I was serving on the tourism board that local advertising was not included in that. Like, you couldn't do that. I mean, the idea was to bring people from out of town, so that when people would put like the Mexico Ledger and places like that, that didn't even count, because that's not really tourism, that's just local advertising. So that's how, when they used to just, I didn't know if that changed or what happened, or...
They encouraged, using advertisement media outside the city, but they did not restrict using just only outside, proposals or media.
Yeah, I don't think it was a rule, it's just kind of the way they just sort of, which I thought was pretty reasonable, because it is for attracting people from out of town, not
Sure.
to sit in town, so, just a question.
I move for reading of bill number 2017-13.
Second.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman West,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Bill number 2017-13, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Brick City Bad Boys for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. Whereas the Mexico Tourism Commission recommends to City Council that the Brick City Bad Boys be allowed to receive tourism funding for their tourism advertising campaign. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mexico, Missouri as follows. Section 1. City manager is authorized to enter into agreement on behalf of the City of Mexico with the Brick City Bad Boys for tourism funding. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the time of its passage. Move for passage of bill number 2017-13.
Second.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman West,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas,
Yes.
Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Next item, Bill number 2017-14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an engineering service agreement with SFS Architecture for a preliminary aquatic facility design. Reading and passage, Mr. Slagle.
Yeah, Sharon, during the council budget work session, we had set a process in place to begin looking at a future aquatics feature for the community. And as a part of that, we commented about doing a 3-year process to get there. And the first year of it was to hire a engineering firm to help us gather public input and do some preliminary design work for educational purposes. So this is to begin that process, to cover the process of selecting the engineering services. We'll turn to Chad Shoemaker.
Thank you. I'll try to make myself heard. The request for qualifications was sent to 14 pre-selected aquatics professional design teams. 4 sets of qualifications were received, with SFS Architecture being selected by a review of staff from Engineering, Administrative Services, and Parks as the most qualified candidate. When you looked at that 14 group mailing that went out to, I'm sure you noticed SFS was not on that group. They are working with Councilman Hunsucker, who is one of the groups on there. They're, I guess, the lead agency for Councilman Hunsucker in the qualification. A design and public input proposal not to exceed $35,000 was negotiated to provide preliminary design and public input services for 2 project options directed by the City Council for future budgeting of aquatic feature. Staff recommends that Council proceed with reading and passage of the resolution.
Will they have a plan? I mean, I'm trying to figure their weeks. Will their weeks be done before we have our next budget session for next year?
There's a work plan in the...
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
I just don't know weeks
Yeah,
versus whether when we
should
sit
have
down to
enough.
discuss what we're doing next year, will we have this
Work plan,
plan?
we should have enough information in that timeline, yeah. I mean, some of that does rely on the surveys to be returned and phone calls to be answered, that kind of thing, but,
I move for reading on bill number 2017-14.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Webb?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes. Bill number 2017-14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an engineering service agreement, SFS Architecture, for a preliminary aquatic feature design. Whereas City Council directed that there is a need to plan for future spending to construct an aquatic feature, and whereas a request for qualifications was submitted by SFS Architecture of Kansas City, Missouri, to provide a preliminary design and public input services for 2 project options for a future aquatic feature. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mexico, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the city manager is authorized to execute an engineering services agreement with SFS Architecture of Kansas City, Missouri, to provide a preliminary design and public input services for a future aquatic feature. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the time of its passage. I move for passage of bill number 2017-14.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Webb?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
Next item, bill number 2017-15, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Horner and Schifrin Incorporated for the survey, inspection, and mapping of sanitary sewer manholes. Reading and passage. Mr. Slade?
Yes, the budget allows us to look at doing some survey regarding sanitary sewer collection and manholes for GIS system mapping, and to cover the details of what we're going to do in the area we're working on. We'll turn to Kenzie Russell.
As council is aware, we have been working over the last several years to map the assets of our sanitary sewer system. Here on the board, The green dots represent what we have accomplished so far. We started in the south end of town, did this area. We've done a little work with our own forces. We did an area there last year, and this would fill in this area north of the railroad tracks and complete basically everything north of the railroad tracks except in the far east Santabec airport area. We have done a little work out that direction, but not as much. The blow up there on the right, the manholes in red are the ones that we would be doing under this contract. Horner and Schifrin hosts our GIS system, and so it's worked very well for them to do the mapping and the inspection. We can go to our GIS, click on a manhole or a segment of pipe, get the information on diameter, depth, flow line of the pipe or of the manhole. We're also using the system then as we do our slip lining or our cast-in-place lining and manhole rehab. We're tracking that data and putting that together. So the mapping really does help us in responding to the Missouri One Call requests. It helps us in responding to blockages and being able to get into the system and to track the work that's done as well as the actual inventory of the system itself. And so we did budget this year to do some additional work. This piece would cost about $19,000. We had $30,000 budgeted, and so we're recommending that we proceed with getting this piece of the work done.
Make a motion, I read bill number 2017-15.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nash?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
Bill number 2017-15, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Horner Schifrin Incorporated for the survey, inspection, and mapping of sanitary sewer manholes. Whereas the city of Mexico has continued to update its sanitary sewer inventory by surveying, inspecting, and mapping sanitary sewer manholes. And whereas Horner Schifrin Incorporated is on the city's on-call consultant and maintains the city's geographic information system platform. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mexico, Missouri as follows. The city manager is hereby authorized to execute an agreement with Horner Schifrin Incorporated to survey, inspect, map sanitary sewer manholes in the north central part of Mexico, or the city, north of the railroad tracks. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from the actual time of passage. I move for passage of bill number 2015.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nash?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
The next item, bill number 2017-16, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an Amendment 3 renewal sublease of business property with Home Depot USA Incorporated. Reading and passage. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, this would be the third extension on the lease of the city spec building on Christopher Drive to Home Depot. And to cover the details of the lease, we will turn to Russell Runch.
Evening, Council. Home Depot does currently lease this space, 100,000 square feet. The lease will expire September 30th of this year. Been in contact with Home Depot. They decided to extend that lease that they've been doing for 1-year increments to a 3-year increment. The proposed extension will include a monthly rental fee of $13,260, which is a 2% increase for this additional lease period. building will continue to be used to operate as part of Home Depot's distribution facilities in Mexico, which they acquired Home Decorators Collection, and they have a lease with their 600,000 square feet. They also lease the old Optech facility, which is owned by a company out of Kansas City called Big Industrial, which is close to 400,000 square feet. Staff recommends that council proceed with reading and passage of this attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the Amendment 3.
When we had our budget meeting last year, we talked about seeing about selling some of these buildings and putting them for sale. Is there a clause in this contract that if we found somebody to buy the building, we could get out of the lease? Because because you mentioned the Optech building, and they're paying substantially more per square foot than they are for our building. I mean, they're getting a good deal at our building. So that's why we were kind of talking about, that building and our other building, selling them at some point, or at least seeing if there's interest. But a 3-year lease, is there a clause to get us out?
We have basically 5 years left to pay off the building. So this 3 years will put us in without, at the end of that period, owing $184,000 on it. So our intent is hopefully to get that paid off and then go from there.
And yes, in the main lease, there is a purchase option.
There is a purchase option, yes.
Well, there's a purchase option just for them in this lease, but
No, it would be a first right of refusal type situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I move for reading of Bill 2017-16.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman West?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
Bill number 2017-16, a resolution authorizing the City of Mexico to execute an Amendment 3, renewal sublease of business property with Home Depot USA Incorporated. Whereas the City of Mexico recognizes the need to promote economic welfare in the community by fostering and facilitating the creation of supporting jobs, and whereas the City of Mexico has 100,800 square feet of industrial building located on Route J 2501 Christopher Drive that is currently being rented by Home Depot USA Incorporated to support economic growth, and whereas Home Depot USA Incorporated is interested in extending the sublease of the city industrial building to September 30, 2020. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Mexico, Missouri as follows. The city manager is hereby, Section 1, the city manager is hereby authorized to execute an Amendment 3, renewal sublease of business property with Home Depot USA Incorporated for the city industrial building located at Route J 2501 Christopher Drive. Section 2, the resolutions will be in full force and effect from and after the time of its passage. I move for passage of bill number 2017-16.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman West?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
Next item of the claims.
Move we pay the bills?
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman West?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.
Next item of comments. First, we'll start with the council. Councilman Lesh.
Yes, I'd like to say that it's good to see the pool study starting and finally getting it going after talking about it so many years, and I'm anxious to hear what the citizens of Mexico have to say about this in terms of the survey results, so we'll look forward to that. Also, I think since our last council meeting, we had the ribbon cutting for the soft surroundings building, and I was really impressed with what 300,000 square foot looks like when you walk inside. It's a really fantastic building and a huge asset to our community, and certainly we welcome them to be here in Mexico and want to support them and hope they are successful. Thank you.
I'd just like to also say, and I'm glad we're moving forward with the pool study, because that's a big thing hanging over our head in the city for the foreseeable future. Also, glad to see Soft Surroundings finally moving into their building. Do we know when the other company is moving into the old building yet?
They are in.
They're already in. All right. Well, good to know. I haven't been by there, so that's good to know. And then also, this last weekend, the Elks Lodge had an appreciation dinner for all the people, first responders in the community. And I just think it's and especially in today's day and age, they get beat up a lot in the media and by certain individuals. And at the end of the day, we rely on them. Every single person in this town relies on them to keep us safe. So I just want to say I appreciate everything you guys do. So.
I also went to Soft Surrounds. It is a monstrous building. It looks big from the outside. It looks bigger from the inside. So very happy to have them there. I guess the one way to make sure the pool won't leak is to start building another one. So yes. That's supposed to be working. Kinsey, when did we acquire the manhole cover lifter?
Probably a year or so ago.
Whoever's idea that would have pat them on the back. Manhole covers are a pain to do anything with, and I saw that it saves time, it saves problem people getting hurt, back problem. That is a very unique little piece of equipment. So it's a good thing. I also went to the Elks Appreciation Banquet. They honored public safety, they honored state patrol, sheriff's department, state fire marshal, conservation, the prison guards, joint dispatch, and I mean, Aldrina County, Mexico is very privileged to have those people. I'll take myself out of the bunch. The rest of them guys are privileged to have. But the one thing that really hit me better, I guess hit me better than anything, is we had two people. And do you know Kevin Patrick and Ryan Shadell, Chief?
Yes.
When you get public safety or the city council or the people patting the resource officer on the back, that's one thing. And when you have the schools patting them on the back, that's a good thing too. But when you have the kids that respect the cops, that is what they're there for. That right there is what solves the problem when they get older. Because it just takes the respect thing, puts it back in. And I know both these guys personally, and they treat everybody, whether you're black, white, green, yellow, old, young, everybody the same. And it's refreshing to have kids get up there. And they actually did reports on, they wrote up things on their resource officers. And it was really, it almost brought tears to your eyes. It was really very refreshing. And we had a good meal. And I had some wonderful people at my table. So that's all I've got.
That's all our time for tonight.
It's all right.
Councilman Bell.
Well, ditto. You all got it all, said it all. Except I'd like to add that I think it's exciting that Home Depot has renewed a lease for 3 more years. That's a big deal for Mexico. You realize if they would not have renewed that, or if they would decide to change, how that would affect our economy. I think that's a big deal for Mexico. That's all I have.
Have nothing at this time, Your Honor.
The only thing that I might comment would just be a repeat of prior comments, so we'll move along to public comments. If you have a comment you'd like to make, please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and try to keep your comments under 3 minutes. Seeing no one approaching, I will move to adjourn into executive session pursuant to the revised statutes of Missouri 610-021, subsection 1, litigation.
Second.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman West?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Nichols?
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Williams?
Yes.